That does bring us to broad topics. We are starting with the NWA World Title Program, of which there is technically none. The main event of the pay-per-view is a six-man tag, but they do a title match on TV. So October 29th, Impact, Jeff Jarrett comes out, and he's like, I will take my rematch next week on the Primetime Special. The crowd chant, where is your title? And then they do like a really hard cut to a Primetime Special spot, like right after a word he said. So part of me is like, what did they cut? What did he say that they needed to cut?
What did he flub?
What did Double J say? Did he go, was like, I didn't lose the title, I'd never lose titles.
I'd never lose a title, not even once.
But yes, so he will get his title match, his rematch against Rhino on the Primetime Special. Main event of that episode, America's Most Wanted faced BG James and Ron Killings.
Nothing gets you more fired up than an America's Most Wanted 3LK main event.
Well, at least America's Most Wanted main event. Like, when you were saying that sentence, like, nothing gets you more fired up than an America's Most Wanted, I was like, yeah! But then you did get to the 3LK part, which did bring me down a little bit.
This is too big a shades of, like, the last 2 years. I thought we have more teams now.
Do we? I think that's still the part of the like the X division is absolutely fucking loaded. There's so many people in the X division right now, and the world title scene. You know, you got Christian and Rhino added. You still had Jarrett and Raven. Those people are still there.
Monty Brown is perpetually on the outside.
Yeah, you get Abyss and Hardy as well, I guess. But like the tag team is still like the Naturals, AMW.
You got Team 3D.
Yeah, you do get Team 3D. That is like the addition that at least makes it fresh for a little bit. So the highlight of this match was Ron Killings wearing Storm's hat and then doing a little dance.
Of course.
Killings did a big dive and then BG just kind of looked over. He didn't do the like, tease doing a dive, I'm not going to do it. He just kind of looked over the ropes and was like, carry on.
Because, you know, the first one would require charisma.
TNA announces, it was actually I think announced online, but this is the first mention that the main event of Genesis will be Team 3D and Rhino versus America's Most Wanted and Jarrett in a 6-man tag.
That'll sell pay-per-views.
You don't want to see a big 6-man? How do you feel about a big 6-man main eventing a pay-per-view?
If it's like a good wrestlers. Like if it's like an all-star 6-man, you can get away with it, I suppose, but I don't know. You have to have a real strong undercard.
It's like this 6-man is very much these people will be in the tag title match and the world title match the month after, so we are doing this as a little half step so we can kind of cheat a month to get to that. So it isn't really like the kind of, as you said, the kind of 6-man where you're like, whoa, this is 6 of the best in there.
I think it has to be like, this is gonna be some like blow you away work rate thing. Like the all-in 6-man main event where you're like, oh, this is going to be nuts.
Or look at these like legendary wrestlers interacting for the first time.
Yeah, it needs to have some sort of bite to it, which this does not.
And even like what the match ended up being, which was like a big like superheated plunder brawl around the building. Like they didn't even like promote it as that really.
Yeah, they could have like promoted it as like no DQ or something, or a street fight or whatever, like something to give it a little like gravitas.
Yeah, or like because like Anarchy in the Arena was like my reference point to them when thinking about it, because that's kind of what it was, or at least a smaller version of it, where like literally the whole match was crowd brawling for the most part. But in a rare instance, pretty good crowd brawling as opposed to Jarrett crowd brawling, which is usually terrible. But if they like come up with a brand for that,
Sanity in the Soundstage.
Yeah, Sanity in the Soundstage. There you go.
Or Insanity in the Soundstage, I guess. Sanity in the Soundstage isn't as it doesn't exactly inspire a lot of chaos. It just like, all right, regular 6-man tag, following the rules.
That's actually the new name for a 6-man tag. It's Sanity in the Soundstage.
And then Insanity in the Soundstage when they do the brawl.
It's like a fight. Every Ring of Honor match is a fight with honor because they adhere to the Code of Honor, and then you have fights without honor every so often. So yeah, like they could have done something to juice it up in terms of how they promoted it, because like they were just like, the referee is like, fuck it, go on, because they never actually made it like a no DQ match, I don't think, at any stage. It's just they just worked it like that. BG went for a pump handle slam, but Gale distracted him. Conan chases off Gale. Demore looks to use the hockey stick, but Kip grabs it and gives it to BG. BG goes to use it, but then Harris grabs it, allowing that brief distraction, the opening for Storm to hit a super kick for the win. Kip and Conan argue.
Wow. What fresh take in this story where Kip and Conan argue.
Well, a note from Conan. Conan got some heat for doing a radio show where he complained about creative and said his own angle was stale.
I mean, he's not wrong.
They've been doing this. We're currently in November. This has started when Kip debuted, which was what, February? It was the Nash match, right?
A million years ago, I think, roughly.
I'm pretty sure it was the Nash match where he ran out for the first time. So we've been doing this since February, and we will still be doing this for another while longer. But we're not on 3LK Family Drama yet. That's how we close our shows. We're not allowed to talk about it this early. We're actually breaking the law.
That's illegal.
So the main event, quote unquote, of this episode was Team 3D arriving after they returned to Bound for Glory, after they were taken out by AMW and left in a bloody mess, and after the Team 3D funeral and all that. So they come out to address their enemies. Bully asks for the crowd to give AMW a round of applause because they've done something that no other team has done. They took out Team 3D, but they made a deadly mistake. They didn't finish the job. Deadly mistake. See what he did there?
He's gonna kill them with a deadly Dudley Dingus Destroyer.
That's what 3D stands for.
The 4D.
They're calling for every single person in that funeral home. So starting next week, they'll face the Canadians.
Even the people, even the cameraman.
Yeah, they're good.
People employed.
They're gonna wrestle Gale.
Damn. Well, I believe that for Bully.
I noticed they called out the Canadians, and then they're going after Jarrett and AMW. Not a word about Abyss.
They're scared.
They are.
Or James Mitchell.
They don't want to deal with the devil.
They should have done James Mitchell and Abyss versus Team 3D.
But yeah, they're like, we want Canadians next week on the primetime special. Demore comes out with his boys. Rude grabs the mic and says, we don't have to wait until the primetime special. 5-on-1 attack, or 5-on-2 attack, I guess. 3LK make the save as 3D. Hit the 3D on A1. They go to get Demore, but Jarrett and AMW come out. And then Rhino, on his new NWA World Champion first episode, Rhino, just does a brief brawl for 15 seconds at the very end of the episode.
Because he's not really champion.
They could at least give him a little promo. Let him be like, aha, I beat you, Jarrett, gore, gore, gore. Which I believe would have been the full extent of the promo. But he comes out right at the end of the episode to do a little brawling before he then loses the belt the next week. Ugh, poor Rhino. So yes, November 3rd, 2005, the prime time special. Jarrett is with franchise. He believes if he loses, he'll be fired again. He's still doing that conspiratorial stuff. Tonight, he's going to make world history, like the moon landing, gravity, the phone, the light bulb. This moment will live alongside all of those things.
I like the world history of gravity.
Yeah, one of the most important world history events, the discovery of gravity.
Not the discovery. It's just gravity existing. Yeah.
Which has existed, I believe, for all of world history, but I guess I don't know. Was there ever a period where we didn't have gravity?
I'll Google it. You keep going.
Yeah, scientists, let me know. Monty walks up, it's like, what's up, Aristotle? Because he's talking about all these world history events.
Monty rules.
Jared's like, what are you, a stalker? To which Monty replies, stalking you, always.
I've Googled, did we ever not have gravity? And I choose to believe that the jury's still out.
There's a lot of people who choose to believe a lot of things about science, I guess, so go for it.
Yeah, that's going to be my new thing. Gravity's fake.
I wonder how you could even try and sell the idea that gravity is fake. It's actually a government thing. They have machines that hold you on Earth, and if they turn them off, we'd have no gravity.
In the center of the Earth, it's actually just a big machine that's going whoa, 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 whoa.
They're stopping you from flying. If it wasn't for this government overlords intervening in your life, you would be able to fly. But no, they suck you. Literally suck you back to Earth.
And that's why all birds are drones.
Monitoring the gravity machines?
Yeah, they're the only things that are allowed to fly. No, nothing else has ever flown.
What about planes?
Not real.
Ah, there's large birds.
And everyone who's ever said they've been on a plane is an actor.
When was the last time you were on a plane?
A while ago, but I mean, all the time.
That's the thing I find funny, like, because like you have less reason to fly places because you're all the way down there. So flying anywhere cool is really far away, as opposed to like Europeans who are like, there's a load of countries right around us, so we're always on planes.
Europeans who are like, I'm gonna go to the shops, hops on plane.
Off to Belgium we go.
Yeah.
I do like it's like, what are you, stalking me? And Monty's like, yes, I really am. That's my whole thing.
I'm hunting you.
So Monty wants a title match, and Monty wants Jeff to win so Monty can take the belt from him. Which does bring us to the main event of that episode. There was a feature on Jarrett in the episode, a Planet Team 3D and Planet Jarrett recap. But the main event for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Jeff Jarrett defeated Rhino to become champion again for the 5th time?
50th time.
And not the last one. We do only have one more after this.
Every time he wins it, I just go, come on, this could be the last one, though.
You do have that little bit of hope that surely this is the last one, but it is the second last one.
We're almost there.
So they had moving graphics for the tail of the tape where Rhino was like doing a gore pose and Jeff Jarrett was doing his laugh, and they also had cool like NWA title screen transitions where like the title did the screen wipe. Thought all that was nice.
Very cool. Just like a 2K23 creator belt.
Do they do that in that?
Yeah.
Let's see, that's cool. They should bring that to TV then.
They do the little swipes. You can give them custom swipes.
Fancy. Shockingly, they did a lot of crowd brawling. Rhino went for the Rhino driver, but Gale's distraction allowed Jarrett to push him off the top. Rhino tried to turn around a figure four. Gale went for a leg drop, but missed. Rhino was going to press slam Gale through a table, which naturally, because this is 2005 or really any hit period in wrestling history, that made him a giant babyface. But the ref stopped him. Respectful referee here. Stop hurting women.
Boo.
Rudy Charles, the most respectful man in the industry.
Rudy Charles is actually sexist.
Yeah, he wouldn't stop anybody else from going through a table.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially because he's not in the match. It's not like if he was trying to put Jarrett through a table, it would be illegal.
Mm-hmm. Just because Gale's a woman, she can't get thrown through a table.
Rhino bumped Rudy with a clothesline. Rhino hit the gore, but there was no ref. AMW run out. Death sentence Rhino through a table off the top on the floor. Like they were on the floor. Leg dropped from the top to a table on the floor, which probably isn't good for your tailbone.
No, well, that move is not good for anyone's tailbone ever.
Yeah, poor Chris Harris. Jarrett hits the stroke, and Jarrett is once again NWA World Champion.
Yay.
Earlier in the show, they did a promo. I don't think it was in the version of the show we watched for Genesis that did build Jarrett as NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So
it was an old promo.
I actually do think it was. I think it was a promo that was produced pre-Bound for Glory,
before they realized they were going to put the title on Rhino.
Yeah, so it was like produced before Bound for Glory when Jarrett was champion, but aired before Jarrett became champion again. So it was a mistake for the right reasons, but still a dumb mistake. Team 3D didn't help because they were handcuffed to a rail and bloodied backstage with the inference that AMW stopped them. So then, November 12th Impact, we get a parade of challenger stuff at the start, which we'll talk about when we're talking about Monty and Hardy, I guess. And main event of that episode was America's Most Wanted and Jeff Jarrett against Chris Sabin, Lance Hoyt, and Jeff Hardy, which I thought was a real nice little TV main event. Particularly I thought Chris Sabin looked very good here. Jeff does a crazy dive where he just steps up off of Hoyt and briefly steps on the ropes and then dives onto AMW. And it looked like the kind of dive where he could have tripped on the ropes and somehow didn't, and just looked kind of cool instead.
It's that controlled chaos element, you know, where you're like, oh, this could go wrong in a million ways, but nope, it kind of works. I love that this feels like a year or two ago where it's like, oh, Chris Sabin's just randomly in a TV main event with all the heavyweights out of nowhere.
Yeah, if I were to guess, I think it was meant to be Sabu, because this is the same trio that faced Diamonds in the Rough on the primetime special, but Sabu broke his toe in that match. So I assume it was meant to be just, oh, they'll also wrestle AMW and Jarrett in the TV main event next week. Sabu is out, so yeah, let's just fuck Chris Sabin in there.
Yeah, like that just feels like so Asylum.
And like they did like give Sabin a bunch. He ran wild on AMW. He hit a big tornado DDT for like a real close near fall. Like Jarrett gave him a 2.99 on it, probably because he was getting pinned. But so Kale crotches Sabin up top, and Jarrett does hit a middle rope stroke to beat Chris Sabin.
Ooh,
they're really protecting Chris Sabin here, rightfully so. They're going to hit Hardy with a guitar after the match, where Rhino makes the save. Team 3D come out and they quickly brawl to end the show. Oh, we didn't even talk about Team Canada and Team 3D. I guess that we should talk about that. That was on the primetime special too. It was a very long match, and it was fine.
It sure was.
It was a 101 Heat comeback finish tag match that also happened to be like 15 minutes.
And Bubba beat everyone up.
And like this is the period now where we're firmly in panic Eric Young, scared, paranoid Eric Young, where he's
it's the best. Like everything, he's just so upset 24/7.
He does jump at his pyro for the first time, and he doesn't take the bump for it, but he does like the jump scare, grab his heart for it for the first time, I think. This month.
He's been selling the pyro like already, but now he's like fully like
he just does not like it. Everybody's out to get Eric Young. There was heat in Bubba in this match apparently for taking liberties. He was working a little too stiff, and like there's a note that like Joe works like that too, but everyone expects it, as opposed to Bubba's like no.
Bubba's just like, Joe can do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it's built into the big Bubba and Joe match, which probably...
Did they ever have a big singles?
I think they had one in the Bound for Glory series in 2012, I want to say. But I don't remember was that any good. It feels like those two would have a very good match in the right circumstances.
Don't worry, we'll get there. We'll find out.
This is TNA once again during this match. Please, for the love of God, call your friends. And he's like, if you have a friend who may have been turned off by some other wrestling, for the love of God, call them.
On this network.
A1 tries to use the hockey stick, but 3LK take it from him. 3D hit the 3D on EY for the win.
See, the problem that Mike TNA is facing is his expectation that wrestling fans have friends.
Yeah, that is a problem they may run into. That's actually the only reason this show did an equivalent rating to what they were doing on Saturday nights.
Yeah, call your friends, and they're like, who?
Yeah, and then they actually felt bad about the fact that they didn't have friends and stopped watching.
And they cried.
Main event of the pay-per-view is a 6-man tag team match. It is America's Most Wanted and Jeff Jarrett versus Team 3D and Rhino. As said, it was basically like the entire match was a big arena-wide brawl. There was a fun, like, reoccurring theme through the match of tables not being used, which would outrage 2023 fans who love nothing more than chanting, "We want tables."
Let it be known, I was shitting on crowds for the We Want tables, like, years before everyone else started getting on their nerves.
You know what the worst circumstance of that chant is? When there will obviously be tables.
Or when there's already been a table.
But like in a match where it's like there will be a table bump in this match, and even if that counts as like AEW pay-per-view main event where they'll always do an announced table spot, like there will be a table bump. You will be fine. Have some page, or like was it Stadium Stampede or one of those matches, or like they were doing fucking nail board spots and they were chanting, "We want tables." It's like.
Yeah, I just think it's perfect that this is something I've been complaining about on audio for years, and now everyone else has caught up to me, thus proving that, again, I should be in charge because I know what everyone else is going to be feeling.
Yeah, years before.
Yeah, I've been complaining about this since Wednesday War Games.
That's 4 years now. So Rhino goes to gore Jarrett down through a table that's set up at like the entrance tunnel. So he's going to gore him through a table down the tunnel, but then Storm intercepts that with a super kick. Bully was going to powerbomb Harris through a table, but Storm moved the table and Harris just landed flat on the floor, to which I would be like, I would take the table bump, thank you very much.
Yeah, but in canon.
It probably hurts a great deal more to be just powerbombed on the floor. 3D were going for a double suplex, but the table was moved. AMW were going for a death sentence through a table, but it was intercepted. So like that was the little like reoccurring theme, the little story through the show, through the match, that there was like none of the tables were used, but they were teased to be used all the time. So big crowd wide brawl, everyone's fighting, everyone's brawling. Crowd was super into it. The crowd had like there's great crowd heat for this, which is I think like that's what makes crowd brawls work. If there's not heat, they're good. If there is heat, they're bad, or the other way around. If there's not heat, they're bad. If there is heat, they're good. That's the way crowd brawling.
I was gonna say that's a hell of a take to have.
I like the silent crowd brawling.
Oh, then you're one of those guys who are like New Japan was better in the clap era.
Yeah, I just like to hear the visceral sound of crowd brawling. I just want to hear the thuds and the kapows and whatnot. All the Batman 66 sounds, I think.
Yeah, you can accept some claps. But not a single word should be uttered by the crowd.
So you can hear the intensity of the action.
Yeah, everything should sound like a Chris Jericho match in Japan.
Unnecessary, but I approve. Right, Jarrett and Rhino brawl.
Hey, he's like one of the people who started that myth.
He is. It was all over his book. It's like, oh, they're very different. They're very respectful. They just sit there and silently pay attention. It's like, not if you're fucking over, they don't.
You never seen a Miss Sour match?
They lose their mind, unlike any crowd you've ever seen in your life.
The most passionate pro wrestling fans of all time. You just went over. Super Liger ass bitch.
I hope people start spreading like myths about that, about like modern WWE. It's like they're actually just the most attentive.
They're
fans.
Respectful. They're just really into the bloodline, and they're because are you hooting and hollering when you're watching The Sopranos? No, you're sitting there and you're ingesting the media.
There is nothing people hate more than people who are loud in the cinema. So when you're watching cinema, you should not be loud.
Unless it is the cinematic equivalent of a WWE show, like a Marvel movie, and it's like, oh, the entrance of the characters here, let's all go fucking nuts.
Well, the most famous, like, that scene is literally the entrance of the characters in Endgame. That is literally, like, hit the music and guys do entrances.
Yeah, like, that's the only, group of movies that I will accept you hooting and hollering in a movie theater for. I wish that was all movies. I wish, like, when the bomb dropped in Oppenheimer, my whole cinema just fucking went nuts.
Yes!
In like the minute of silence, the crowd's just going fucking crazy.
They're like the crowd in the scene afterward in that hall, just like waving their flags and going like, fuck yeah!
I'm having PTSD from it.
Jarrett and Rhino brawled up to the Spanish announce desk where Jarrett hit a low blow. Rhino fell off the desk. The desk was like elevated in the stands for some reason. So he falls like 7 feet down to a series of bleachers, of which he also then falls down like 7 bleachers. It's like, Rhino, what are you doing?
It's very uncomfortable.
Harris and Storm bled a bunch. Storm tries to fuck a beer bottle at Bully, which was great, but then Bully moved. Literally just tried to, like, literally hurl it at him.
He literally tried to fuck a beer bottle.
Yeah, Storm, always fucking beer bottle.
That's the character, right?
Rhino hits the goer on Jarrett, but Harris pulled the referee out. 3D on Storm for the win. But then, the post-match angle. Earlier in the show, we had the debut. You might have heard of him. The instant classic Christian Cage.
Yeah, we talked about it in depth already.
Yeah, so we've covered all of the actual, like, debut promo and whatnot. So at the end of the show, he comes out. Bully's trying to powerbomb Gail through Jarrett through a table. So Gail's been having a rough time of all she ever does is be threatened with physical violence.
It's like they were like, oh, Gail, this amazing person, we're signing her, bringing her in, blah, 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 blah. And, like, all she's done has just been, like, a prop.
Gail doesn't work a match until, like, July.
It's insane.
All she does is be threatened with violence at all times.
Why even hire her at that point?
Well, they want women on the show, but also they don't want to book women on the show. So Jarrett goes to put Devon through a table off the top, but Christian comes out. He takes off his entrance jacket to reveal a Team Canada t-shirt.
Scott D'Amore is he is, like, flabbergasted, but, like, yes, I can't believe that you've done it, yes.
Yeah, like, my favorite part is when you look at D'Amore's facial expressions and Christian reveals the shirt, the first part of it is, like, legitimate, like, wait, really? Before he goes into earnest enthusiasm, very happy. He hugs Christian, then Christian transitions that into an unprettier on D'Amore. 3D and Christian then hit a 3-man 3D. That's, I guess, the 3D on Jarrett through a table as we go off the air. So Christian has not...
It's the 9D.
Why is it the 9D?
The 3x3D.
Oh, okay. But that would mean they would be a 4D if it was regular 4D.
No, 3x3, 3x3, 9.
But if it's 2 people doing it 3D, then...
Because it's a 3D by 3.
But it's a 3D by 2.
3x3D.
I guess it's a...
It's fine, what if we just call it the 3x3D?
Okay. I was guessing it would be a 6D rather than a 4D, because if by that logic, it's a 3x2D if it's just Bubba and Devon, so it's a 6D. But yes, they 3D Jarrett through a table as we go off the air. I like the main event. It's a real fun plunder brawl. A rare instance of Jarrett doing crowd brawling where it absolutely didn't suck. Which
well, because there's 5 other people.
And there's heat. And yeah, AMW and Harrison Storm bleeding. So that always helps. But yes, Christian Cage is a good guy here in TNA Wrestling.
For now.